I also want to read from the Aurora Municipal Code 3-9 on the powers of council. The council shall have all legislative powers of the city and all other powers of a home rule city not specifically limited by the Constitution of the State of Colorado and not specifically limited or conferred upon others by this charter. It shall have the power to enact and provide for the enforcement of all ordinances necessary to protect life, health, and property, to declare, prevent, and summarily abate and remove nuisances, to preserve and enforce good government, general welfare, order, and security of the city and the inhabitants thereof, to enact by ordinance of provisions for fines and/or imprisonment or other punishment for each and every violation of ordinances or regulations duly passed by council, to provide for granting of probation and conditional suspension of sentences by the municipal court. I'll repeat, to provide for the granting of probation and the conditional suspension of sentences by the municipal court, and to delegate to boards and commissions within limitations of the Constitution and this charter such functions, powers, and authority of the city as it deems proper and advisable. The council or committee thereof duly authorized by it shall have power to investigate the official acts and conduct of any officer of the city and may compel the attendance and testimony of witnesses and the production of books and documents. With that, I'm complete and I'll take my seat. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Mayor?
Councilmember Johnston.
Thank you, Ms. Wheeler, for providing that. One of the comments that, or one of the provisions that she had read was to provide for the probation and sentences of municipal court. I don't know if I have the exact wording. To our city attorney, can we address that of the power of the city council to provide for probation and sentences of the municipal court?
And you have that power. You need to actually draft pieces of that. So one of the issues that's come up most recently is looking at, does council have the power to pardon? Now you can look at that provision and you can adopt provisions to actually do that. Council currently has not done that.
Is that a charter change, Mr. Brown?
No, it's actually...
This is in our charter.
That's actually provided in the charter, but you need something to activate that. What it's saying is you need a procedure, you need a group, you need a process to do that. Council currently hasn't decided to exercise that power.
Okay, but if that's in the charter, we can exercise that power. Are you saying we need to exercise it with a specific case?
No, what you need is an ordinance that would give council, give the mayor, give someone. Right now, it talks about you have many options. You need to narrow that down to giving that power to either council as a whole, to the mayor, to a group of council. All of those are mentioned in that same section. Council hasn't chosen to do any of those yet. You do that by ordinance.
That would be a policy committee discussion, if you'd like to take it through. Councilmember Helps?
So I just wanted to clarify, because I think I hear what you're saying, and I think I know where your confusion is. So in the charter, we have the power to exercise that right, but we haven't adopted an ordinance that actually outlines who, what, where, when, why we would do that.
Correct.
So we could tomorrow start drafting an ordinance that would allow us to harness those rights.
Correct.
And then move forward that process. It's just that right now, even it's been granted to council, but we haven't said, yes, we want that power yet.
Correct.
So you could say, now I want that.
Thank you, Council Member Hiltz. Yes, I could tell that you knew where my concern was. I would like to, I'm formally saying that, and I'll put that in written as well, have an ordinance to address that, especially since it is already in our city charter. So we're not asking for a charter change. We're following our charter, but I would like to request that be drafted. immediately. Please. Thank you.
Okay, next speaker is Kristen Mallory.
Hello, Council. Not everything that I had prepared tonight is applicable now based on this conversation, but a group of lawyers did want to talk about Ms. Epps. And pardon me, I'm going to read this off my phone. We write on behalf of Elizabeth Epps, a community activist and former public defender working under the Student Practice Act, who has recently made the news for her advocacy work in the Denver metro area. Ms. Epps was arrested while assisting a man having what appeared to be what law enforcement described as a breakdown. Sorry, I'm really nervous. Murray just last Monday appeared in the Aurora Municipal Court 2 days later on Wednesday, January 23rd, 2019, after the Supreme Court denied her writ of certiorari. She was offered work release as an alternative sentence and was remanded to custody immediately following the hearing. We ask in the interest of justice that you grant clemency and commute her sentence. The incident for which Ms. Epps now faces imminent detention resulted from her act of kindness and concern for the well-being of another. She contacted his family after talking to him prior to the arrival of any officers. After some interaction between Ms. Epps and the man suffering the breakdown and the police, the man was successfully delivered to his family members. We do not imply that the police would have intended or caused this man any harm, but current data indicates that a large percentage of people killed by police are those having a mental crisis, such as this man was experiencing when Ms. Epps helped him home safely. Upon helping deliver the man to his family, the narrative differs between the officers and Ms. Epps. Police and prosecutors filed several charges as a result of the interaction, and all but one were dropped, interfering with the police. Assisting people is what Mrs. Epps does. Earlier this year, raising thousands of dollars in community donations, she began bailing out of jail people who could not afford the small bonds and fees required to free them prior to judicial proceedings. Ms. Epps helped effect this change through the collaboration with the ACLU of Colorado, bringing to its attention the plight of Mickey Howard, whom she worked to get released from jail after he could not afford additional jail fees. She eventually created a nonprofit, the Colorado Freedom Fund, and has continued to do this work for very little money, resulting in Denver sheriff announcing the discontinuation of Denver processing fees charged along with bail that kept many from being able to escape pre-trial incarceration. For this work, Ms. Epps was asked to give the keynote address at the MLK Parade earlier this week. Aside from this prestigious recognition of her work and other community support, Ms. Epps has gained support from many community members, ranging from parents, students, advocates, and elected officials, including the likes of State
Ms.
Representative
Mallory,
Nikki
Johnson.
Johnson.
Your time's up. Please
Yeah,
wrap
I will
up.
submit the letter. So essentially, the consequences for Ms. Epps, who provided evidence to the court that she suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder due to this incarceration, will surely be enormous and unlikely. Indeed, we pray not.
Ms. Mallory, your time is up. Please find a period to end your sentence.
I will.
Promptly?
Yes.
Promptly, thank you.
I'll just leave it. I will submit this letter to council for you guys to read in whole. Thank you.
And I would like to just state for the record that there was, in fact, a 3-day trial for Ms. Epps, and that trial was by a jury of her peers. This was several years ago, from what I understand. That decision by the jury in the city of Aurora was appealed to the Arapahoe County District Court. The Arapahoe County District Court heard the case and agreed with the municipal court and its jury's decision. So I just wanted to say that because the people watching this don't have any context whatsoever. There's lots of information about this case for anyone that wants to study it and learn more about it. Is there anyone else that would like to speak under public invited to be heard? Okay, seeing none, the meeting is adjourned.